although the motive is good, to save to save flowers, often garland makers leave this gap. And anyway, it cuts into the neck. The weight of the garland cuts into the neck. So when you make garlands for the deities and for Srila Prabhupada, we can afford to buy a few more flowers and finish the garland so that when the weight of the garland rests on the neck of the deity and Prabhupada, it doesn't cut into the neck. Just a simple point. Thanks. All righty. The print's too small, but anyway, we'll work it out. Is this water fresh, not to be picky? Or is it 4 days old? Acha. Thank you. Hey Govinda. All righty, are we in the key of Z? A little lower. We got these clunky kartals. I think we may have a wave of clunky kartals. They don't make them out of bell metal anymore. They're too cheap. Jai Radham Madhava Kunda Bihari. No. Jai Radham Madhava Kunda Bihari. Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari. Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari. Jasoranandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jasoranandana Brajajana Ranjana. Chamunati Ravanachari. Jamunati Ravanachari. Jai Radham Madhava Kunda Bihari. Gopijana Balaba Givanadari. Jasodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Boom! Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Hari Vajakacharya Satit Shishaman. His Divine Grace Abhay Charan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Jagaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananda Koda Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Shikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Vrindavan Dham Ki. Mathuradham Ki. Dwarkadham Ki. Navadidham Ki. Jagannathpuri Dham Ki. Chamunamai Ki. Gangamai Ki. Tulsi Maharani Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Sambhira Bhakta Vinda Ki. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Sri Radha Giridhari Ki. Shri Krishna Sankirtana Jaga Ki. Go Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Hello to you. Can someone, how about you, Jamuna Jivana Prabhu, can you get these folks a little Mahaprashadam. You can go ahead for darshan, yeah. Where are you from? Mumbai. I knew Mumbai when it was Bombay. I was there before you were born. I went there in 1973. Were you born in 73? 71. All right. We'll give it to you. Oh, do we? I was there when it was open, my friend. I know a little more than you, actually. But thank you. Okay, we're going to have our class now. Hey, Govinda. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya. What is it? Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tathojaya Mudirayat Nastaprayesu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Uttamashlokiba. We're not making much progress. Yeah. You can finish it for me. The Bhagavatam is Brinda's son. It's arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna, accompanied with knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who have lost their vision to the dense darkness of the age of Kali shall get light out of this Purana. Before beginning a study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a means of conquest, we should first offer our respects to the personality of God Narayan, the Narayan Rishi, supermost human being, the goddess of living with the Saraswati, the author Srila Vyasadeva, and my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So we're going to pick up where Balaram left off. And Balaram left off on verse 22. As I recall. So assuming there's order in the universe, and there certainly is in the Bhagavatam, we begin on 23. We're going to read a number of verses because they don't have purports. And everything is in the Bhagavatam. Romance, adventure, villains. It's better than Shakespeare. Of course, it's the Bhagavatam. So this is quite a sensual section. Yeah. So, but don't worry. We'll cast. You know cotton candy? Oh, you know cotton candy. They have it at circuses. And what happens when you throw water on it? Right? Hey, what the, you know? Where'd it go? So this whole illusion that it's a wonderful, beautiful place and so, yeah. The Bhagavatam casts water on it, and the whole thing just, you see it as it actually is. Did you get some prasad? Just now coming? Yeah, in my lifetime? Okay. So, thus Lord Shiva saw the woman, because the wind, that's where we start. When the ball leaped from her hand and fell at a distance, The woman began to follow it. But as Lord Shiva observed these activities, a breeze suddenly blew away the fine dress and belt that covered her. This is Lord Krishna, Vishnu, in the form of a woman, the most beautiful, attractive form of a woman, Mohini. Thus Lord Shiva saw that woman, Mohini, every part of whose body was beautifully formed, and the beautiful woman who looked at him. Therefore, thinking that she was attracted to him, Lord Shiva became very much attracted to her. Purport. Lord Shiva was observing every part of the woman's body, and she was also glancing at him in restless eyes. Thus Lord Shiva thought she was also attracted to him, and he now wanted to touch her. Lord Shiva, his good sense taken away by the woman because of lusty desires to enjoy her, became so mad for her that even in the presence of Bhavani, he did not hesitate to approach her. In front of his own wife. Just see how mad. The beautiful woman was already naked, and when she saw Lord Shiva coming towards her, she became extremely bashful. Thus, she kept smiling, but hid herself amongst the trees and did not stand in one place, flitting back and forth in the forest. His senses being agitated, Lord Shiva, victimized by lusty desires, began to follow her, just as a lusty elephant follows a she-elephant. None of these have purports. After following her with great speed, Lord Shiva caught her by the braid of her hair and dragged her near him. Although she was unwilling, he embraced her with his arms. Being embraced by Lord Shiva like a female elephant embraced by a male, the woman, whose hair was scattered, swirled like a snake. O king, this woman, who had large, high hips, was a woman of Yoga Maya, presented by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She released herself somehow or other from the fond embrace of Lord Shiva's arms and ran away. Okay, now we're going to chant 31. Is that what's on the board? Yeah. Oh, well, that's good. And the print is very small in this. Tasya Kargat. Huh? What the? Hang on, just work with me. We'll be all right. Okay. Tasyasau Paravim Rudro Vishnu Abhuta Karmanaha Pratyapadeyata Kamena Vairaneva Vinirjitaha Tasyasau Paravim Rudro Vishnu Rabhuta Karmanaha Pratyapadyata Kamena Varaneva Vinirjitaha Tasyasau Paravim Rudro Vishnu Adbhuta Karmanaha Pratyapadyata Kamena Varaneva Vinirjitaha Tasyasau Paravim Rudro Pratyapadyata Kamena. Oh, sorry about it. Vishnu Abhuta Karmanaha Pratyapadyata Kamena Varaneva Vinirjitaha. All right, Prabhus. Tasyasa Padavim Rudro Vishnurabhutakarmana Pratyapadyata Kamena Varaneva Vinirjita. Vaishnavis Tasyasa Padavim Rudro Vishnurabhutakarmana Pratyapadyata Kamena Varaneva Vinirjita. Tasyasa Padavim Rudro Vishnurabhutakarmana Pratyapadyata Kamena Varaneva Vinirjita. Tasya, of he who is the Supreme Lord. Asau, Lord Shiva. Padavim, the place. Rudra, Lord Shiva. Vishnu, of Lord Vishnu. Abhutakarmana, of he who acts very wonderfully. Pratyapadyata, began to follow. Kamena, by lusty desire. Varanaiva, as if by an enemy. Vinirjita, being harassed. As if harassed by an enemy in the form of lusty desires. Lord Shiva followed the path of Lord Vishnu, meaning Mohini, who acts very wonderfully and who had taken the form of Mohini. Also you say, as if harassed by an enemy in the form of lusty desires, Lord Shiva followed the path of Lord Vishnu, who acts very wonderfully and who had taken the form of Mohini. Purport. Lord Shiva cannot be victimized by Maya. Therefore, it is to be understood that Lord Shiva was being thus harassed by Lord Vishnu's internal potency. Lord Vishnu can perform many wonderful activities through his various potencies. Parayasya Shaktir Vividai Vishruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha, from the Satis Upanishad 6:8. The Supreme Lord has various potencies by which he can act very efficiently. To do anything expertly, he doesn't even need to contemplate. Since Lord Shiva was being harassed by the woman, it is to be understood that this was being done not by the woman, but by Lord Vishnu himself. Om Gana Timarandasya Gana Gana Salakaya Jakshushun Militan Gena Tazare Shi Gurave Namaha. So just a few ancillary points first. They consider that Hinduism, which of course is a Muslim word, it actually designates the Sindhu River. That's a whole story. You won't find it anywhere in the Vedas. But they say Hinduism is polytheistic, which means there's many gods. There's so many gods. And you see those especially in those South Indian Gopurams. There'll be, so many demigods, devas, and, who's supreme, and there's many gods, and they all compete. It's like Greek mythology. But even in Greek mythology, there was Zeus. But anyway, they considered polytheism, many gods, with a small g. But here we see that even Lord Shiva is completely overwhelmed by the potency of Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva is, almost Krishna, according to Brahma Samhita, is milk that turned into yogurt. Milk can always become yogurt, but yogurt can never become milk. So it's a it's a turning of the potency of Lord Vishnu, is Shiva. But still, he's controlled. So that's just a simple point. When you meet somebody who says, oh, there's so many gods, it's polytheistic, and why Krishna, why not Shiva? You can quote this. So, and he's Adideva Jampura, So, another thing is a question from yesterday. Well, I guess I'll say it this way. It was talking, here we see the potency of lust and then fearfulness as a result. We're going to get into that a little bit later, and that was how is lust, bewilderment, and anger, how are they combined? As soon as we forget Krishna, we become fearful. The Sanskrit term is apavarga. Apavarga means, apa, it's from the Vedic, from Sanskrit. And how does it start? One is, there's fear, but what is apavarga? How does it start? I've forgotten the first syllable. Yeah, one works hard. As soon as one comes to this world, I remember the rest. One works hard, so hard, one foams at the mouth, and then one's always in anxiety. When is the next catastrophe going to come? People slow down to look at an accident on the freeway, thinking there, but by the grace of God go I. And then ultimately there's the coup de grace. Death comes and off we go. So this is an anxiety. Dharmasya hi apavargasya, the true Dharma, puts an end to the cycle of pavarga. Hard work, foaming like at the mouth like a horse, full of anxiety, wondering is the next catastrophe, and then the coup de grace, death. So it is an anxiety-ridden place. No doubt about it. I was sitting in Prabhupada was giving class, and Prabhupada said, you think you're sitting on the floor, but I am sitting in the hand of Krishna. So for a devotee who understands that Krishna is behind everything, there's none of this anxiety and fear. But because they forget about Krishna, blinded by lust, therefore they're full of fear and anxiety. It is the nature of the place. What was Prabhupada's name? We say AC. We say, of course, His Divine Grace, AC, Bhakti Vedanta Swami. But what does AC stand for? Suresh. What does AC stand for? Anyone know? Yeah, Abhay Charan, which means, anyone know? We know you know, Dravid. Anyone else know? Fearless at the lotus feet. Not just fearless. Fools are often fearless. What is it? Fears what fools rush in, where angels fear to go. So just being fearless, it's one of the symptoms of being a sociopath. Sociopaths often don't feel fear. But, but we're fearless at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So the devotees asked, I was sitting there. Devotee asked Prabhupada, why is Maya so strong? Anyone know the answer? Why is Maya so strong? Ram. Prabhupada said our purpose is weak. Because your purpose is weak, therefore we can be picked off by Maya. So, there should be, because in the verse, it talks about as lusty desires as an enemy. So that those lusty desires, one of the effects is that one needs a healthy degree of fear and apprehension. One should be afraid of the material nature. It's not, well, that's, if one's spiritually surrendered. No, one should be cautious. I remember Tamal Krishna Maharaj, we were at our little preaching center in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and we were going out to the campus. And at the doorstep, Tamal stopped. He said, Tilak, Sika, Japa Bead, Vaishnav Sangha, let's go. He was checking that he was, securely situated, and then and Prabhupada said the temple is like a fort where we go out to fight Maya. And Prabhupada said the soldier doesn't go out to lose, he goes out to win. People put on karmic pants, rub off their tilak, put a cap over their sika. Well, good luck, my friend. You wonder why we get overwhelmed by Maya and illusion and we're full of anxiety and lusty desires. Well, guess what? Did you go out onto the field unprotected, unprepared? Okay, so enough of that. Because what I did want to talk about, the Bhagavatam is real. It is news we can use. It is amongst all the other things that it is. The Bhagavatam comes to life. It's meditation on the circumstances we will face and how to deal with them. It's practical news you can use. How does a Vaishnav face this world? How to see it, how to process it. That's what was so much fun to go on a walk with Prabhupada, because you would learn to see the world through the eyes of a Vaishnava. How do we see it? And we'll get into that in a moment, if we have. Oh, look at the time. So it says in the purport that Krishna, by his many potencies, acts efficiently. One may ask, why did we have to come to this material world? Why does Krishna let us fall into illusion? If Krishna is all attractive, then why did I leave the spiritual world? These are reasonable questions. But Krishna is efficient. He knows, don't worry. I wanted this, but Krishna did this. Why? If we're so smart, let me ask you this. If we're so smart and so expert, what are we doing in the material world at the bottom of the barrel? Here we are, Kali Yuga. Everybody else with a brain got out. And we're still here, stumbling around in the bottom of the barrel of Kali Yuga. And yet we think, well, why didn't Krishna do that? Oh, and well, Krishna should do this. But it's describing here how Krishna is, it says, Prabhupada says in the purport, Krishna's efficient and he's expert. He knows what he's doing, and he knows how to get us out of this material world. Why did Krishna... Vishnudat Chakravarti Thakur, I have by Bhanu Maharaj his Bhagavatam set, and he describes that in these verses, that why does Krishna let us come to this material world? Now let's back up. Lord Shiva, in these verses, Did Krishna put him in illusion? How did he become covered by illusion? What was the catalyst for Lord Shiva falling into illusion? Anyone remember? He asked for it. He asked for it. He asked, I'd like to see your illusory energy. We ask for it. A passing thought, Prabhupada says. We're there in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, Goloka Vrindavan, and we think, not everyone, 90% don't, but there's a passing thought in some few souls. Why not me? What would it be like if I was at the center? There's a passing thought. Krishna's at the center. What would it be like if I was at the center? And when one has that thought, Krishna sends us to this material world. And Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, if not, the curiosity would remain. This is how he describes it. That thought, everything to Krishna, what about a little bit for me? Why can't I have a few gopis? Whatever it is. So it's that curiosity, and it would remain as a little distraction. So Krishna sends us to this material world, and it cures us. That's the result. Twamakinchana gocharam. One thinks, one becomes disgusted. Now here's the even more far out thing, how Krishna is so expert and so efficient. How long are we in this material world? And what can we quote? We can quote from the 12th canto Bhagavatam. I forget the chapter. Markandeya Rishi also asks Krishna. He asks to see the material nature, just like Lord Shiva asked. He asks. And Lord Krishna disappears. He's not too happy. Krishna's not really happy about that request, but he disappears. And I don't know the time span, but shortly thereafter, Markandeya Rishi is watching in his ashram in the forest. He's washing his puja paraphernalia, and he looks in the river, and all of a sudden he sees the whole creation. He sees Lord Vishnu, everything emanating from him. He's breathed back in. He goes through the whole devastation. Whoa. He goes on a huge excursion. Almost dying, being revived, manifest, unmanifest. It's traumatic. He sees baby Lord Vishnu floating on a banyan leaf. He tries to grab his Lord. It just goes on. It's traumatic. Poop! And the next thing he knows, he's right back at his ashram, washing his puja items. And he's cured. He doesn't want to see the material nature ever again. It was just like a flash. It's just a flash. We all know, we've all had dreams that go on forever, right? You had a dream that, they call it, REM, rapid eye movement, that usually dreams are only milliseconds, just before we wake up. But they seem, you can have eons can go by, a whole lifetime can go by in a dream, but it's just a second. So Krishna is so merciful, so efficient, so expert. A passing desire, well, I should be at the center. What would that be like? The curiosity, that curiosity would spoil our relationship with Krishna. So just to cure us, he sends us to this material world. And it's just a flash. It's only a second. When we're back to Godhead, Prabhupada says it'll just be like waking up from a dream. We'll be there. Krishna will come over the hill with the cowherd boys and cows, and he'll say, come on. And we'll fall in, and off we go. Will we say, wait, Krishna, I got a question. 5 years back, you made me a drunk rolling through the gutter in Calcutta with no arms and legs, playing harmonica. Why? Well, that wasn't fair. But it was a second. It was a dream. I had a dream as a sannyasi. I had a dream that I was getting married. True confession. I was thinking, what? I said, I'm an old man. I said, I don't want to get married. Well, what is that about? I was really, I said, where were my friends? Where's Dravida? Where's Dharmasetu? Where's Balaram? Nobody saved me. It was the next day. The next day was my marriage. I was terrified. I said, children, work. I have to make money. I said, oh no. It was like, I swear to you, I woke up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. I was so grateful. I rolled right out of my bed and offered my obeisance. I said, oh, Krishna, thank you. So if it takes a fast dream, I wasn't thinking about getting married beforehand. But it's funny that it came up. So if it takes so that our loving relationship with Krishna is not bewildered by that niggling curiosity, little curiosity. What about? Krishna completely cures us. And he sends us to this material world, and it's a flash in the pan. It's just like a dream. And zip, we're right back. You got a better method? No, Krishna knows exactly what he's doing. Prabhupada gives the example of his son. His son Vrindavan was a very naughty boy. Prabhupada said that it's a sign of intelligence, actually. He was a naughty boy. And he wanted, anyway, he was making so much trouble one time. Prabhupada was trying to Prabhupada had his pharmaceutical business, and he oversees some workers and all. And he was creating the boy was making so much havoc that Prabhupada, I don't know the age, but picture 4 or 5, something like that. Prabhupada picked him up and put him on top of a cabinet. The boy couldn't get down. You're up there, and he wouldn't jump. He didn't get hurt, but he put him out of trouble, So another time, he wanted to put his finger in a fan. He wanted to touch the fan, And those fans in India, they got sharp edges on. It would have, it could have cut off the kid's finger. Certainly would have cut him, and he wanted to. So and he wouldn't stop. So, and he wouldn't, well, I'll tell it because we're out of time. Prabhupada pulled the plug and he let it slow down to a speed that it wouldn't do any harm. And then Prabhupada told Vrindavan, touch it. And he, tong, and it scared the little boy. And the little boy thought, I'm never going to do that again. Cured. So Krishna sends us to this material world. Tong. It's just a dream. We think, whoa, I'm never doing that again. It's not a conscious memory. It's a sublime, it's a background, subtle memory. I'm never doing that again. So, and one other meditation on this, and we'll wrap up. It's Krishna becomes Maya. Krishna becomes Mohini. It is one of the secrets of devotional service. How does it... And I'm trying to remember the verse by Narada Muni. And it does not that thing therapeutically treated become the cure of the self-same disease. That which causes the disease becomes purified and becomes the cure of that very disease. You follow? Something causes the disease, something cures a disease. The lust is the genesis for causing the disease. From it's described in Bhagavad Gita. From lust comes attachment. From a frustration of attachment comes, bewilderment of memory. Come anger. Anger comes bewilderment of memory, and then falls into the material pool. So lust, desire, causes us to be cast into this world, just as Lord Shiva overwhelmed, and he made a fool of himself. I mean, if you look in front of his own wife, he winds up chasing after this naked woman, passing semina. I mean, and then he pulls out of it, and he becomes humbled and ashamed. And Prabhupada describes, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained, that becoming humbled and embarrassed, we're the eternal living entity, part and parcel of Krishna. We're a cowherd boy or a gopi or a cow or a parrot picking flowers and bringing them to Radharani to give to Krishna. Who knows what we are? Or blade of grass, witnessing all the pastime. And here we are in the material world, homeless, pushing a shopping cart. Remember Bhakti Mitch? Yeah. Bhakti Mitch had the, Balaram mentioned in that excellent class yesterday, he mentioned about people that are hoarders, and they often have turbulent childhoods, with chaos, drug-addicted parents and stuff. They don't have stuff. There's a cause for that. He was a hoarder. And I remember he used to have that locker back here that he would put stuff in. And I remember one time, Gunagraya was just, clean. He got it open, cleaned it out. And there was like one tennis shoe. There was a deflated, ripped volleyball. Why would you keep one shoe? Hoping that you're going to find the other? I mean, why would you keep a torn volley? Useless stuff. And Gunagraya Maharaj cleaned it out to use it as, for something. And Mitch was in a big anxiety. Where was his lost shoe? Where was it, What to speak of the other things? That's gentle. All the cows we've eaten, all the illicit sex we've done. We've done so many self-destructive, foolish things. People leave a good wife. People become drug addicts, lose everything. Their position. I remember going with Ratnabhushana one time to buy restaurant equipment. So we're in the Bowery in L.A., the Skid Row where the drunks are. There's a guy lying in the gutter, literally, pants on backwards, urine soaked. We walked by him. He said, "Got any prasadam?" I couldn't believe it. I said, "All glory to the Sankirtan mission, Somehow or the merciful Vaishnavas had helped this guy. But, we felt sorry for him. We talked to him. He'd been some kind of, English professor at the University of Maryland. And here he was, lying in the gutter, begging for $1 so he could buy a bottle of Ripple wine. Gee, that stuff, you could use it to remove paint. And he's lying in the gutter. So we need to become embarrassed and humble by our activities, just like Lord Shiva, passing Samana, chasing after a naked woman in front of his own wife. So that's what lusty desires do to us. And therefore there should be a healthy fear to avoid them. And the process of devotional service, it's a precursor. Just like Krishna gives in Bhagavad, I'll finish right now, but Bhagavad Gita gives all the qualities of knowledge. 18, I think, is the number. But the first quality listed is humility. And Srila Prabhupada points out that humility is the key that opens the door to the path of knowledge. It's a prerequisite, a necessary precursor is humility. It's the first quality. And similarly, to take to the path of devotional service, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, and Prabhupada also says in one of these, as we read the future purports, that humility and embarrassment, we need to be embarrassed that look what I've become, and humble. And that will lead us to the path of devotional service. And devotional, it's vice versa. We need humility to become a devotee, and by becoming a devotee, we become humble. So we can end there. I had more to say, but we're out of time. And I'm up against prasadam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. But a healthy fear, my friends, is a sign of intelligence.